All right, I'd like to call the Public Works Board meeting together now. Clerk Carl Kramer, could you write down the time and then take a roll call, please?
Alderman Sevenick.
Here.
Alderman Langdon.
Here.
Alderman Schmidt. Here. Alderman Tom Grady. Here. Alderman Ted Grady. Here. Alderman Rapella. Here. Alderman Nichols. Here. Alderman Taylor. Here. All are present. Thank you.
Next one is to approve the Board of Public Works minutes from the date of 3/21/22. Alderman Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Board of Public Works, 3/21/22.
Thank you. Motion by Alderman Taylor, second by Alderman Ted Grady. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay. Thank you. Minutes are approved. The first one, we need to have a motion to remove from the table to bring this number one forward. Do I have a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Chair. For the purposes of discussion, I move that we remove from the table the honorary street name designation policy and the neighborhood street signs policy.
Thank you. I have a motion by Alderman Nichols and an second by Alderman Tom Grady to remove from the table. So, going to the, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay. It's approved. Thank you. I am going to start out first to let we have a guest out in the audience that could not make the beginning of the meeting, and he would like to give a 5-minute talk, so I will allow that.
5 minutes.
Well, it's got, yeah, gotta get what. Yeah.
Just wait, we gotta start the stopwatch. Hold on a second.
Talk here. I was just going to answer whatever questions I could this evening. But I guess I'm here to represent the Doty Island Development Council. I've been a board member of the council for the last 23 years. And for the last couple of years, we've been working on a project to help identify the island neighborhood. And one of the things that we'd like to be able to do is do that through street signs on the tops of the streets. We've looked at design concepts. We've worked with some people within the Public Works Department to help us kind of put them up. We've checked in terms of what works, what doesn't work as far as the fasteners themselves. Checked in terms of state regulations and sizes and readability and all of those kinds of things. And I think from a best practices standpoint, really what we'd like to be able to do, it's kind of a better community idea. And if you talk with people in development areas, they'll tell you that neighborhood enhancements and things like that are things that go a long way to help build identity and kind of branding of areas and communities. So that's what we really like to be able to do. We kind of accelerated this when the bridge started to come in because we have a welcome sign on the Menasha side of Doty Island right now, something which Stan is very much aware of because he really helped to get built there when he was a member of the Doty Island Development Council 30 years ago, and for about 10 years after that. So with the bridge coming in, it's the sign which exists there right now, which is in a very prominent space, is going to be in a not so prominent space because of the roundabout. Yeah. And so we'd like to continue to do some other things to help enhance the identity of the community and really just do it for community awareness. People drive onto the island. They don't necessarily know that it's there, that they're on an island. And it's the oldest portion in Menasha. So one of the things that we thought in terms of being a historic district is the signs actually say historic Doty Island. And in terms of recognizing neighborhoods, this is done in a lot of other cities. You go down to Milwaukee, there's a Story Park neighborhood that's by County Stadium. Oshkosh has got a historic neighborhood. There's a lot of places that do it. So one of the thoughts in looking at this was basically to recognize the fact that it is of historic character, it is a neighborhood, and it's something that people can identify with, and it helps to build a sense of ownership and in fact that people belong and live there. So we thought we were kind of going along, and then we received word that there might be an ordinance put in place, and I guess it's not an ordinance, but it's a policy. So the difference between an ordinance and a policy, ordinances really go for a much broader spectrum. A policy is just kind of a way that you use to make operating decisions. And the policy that I've seen, I just saw a copy of it last week. We did have a couple of comments. I shared a couple of those with a few people on the board here. But we think that there's something that could be done that if you have concerns as far as, you know, will anybody and everybody do this? Maybe adding something to the wording to the extent of to recognize historic and or cultural significance of a community, that sort of thing. Then there was also a number of signs that was listed that the city would do. It was listed as 10. Well, 10 really is not a neighborhood because you have signs on both sides, both ends of streets. Doty Island has a number of signs. We could actually put up to 46, but we're not asking for that many. I think maybe a more reasonable number to help the city to cooperate with might be 25. And beyond that, we would do it. We would pay for all the signage, so there wouldn't be any issue there. There was one point when we talked about possibly even having Doty Island put the signs up, but then there was issues in terms of insurance and liability and those kinds of things, and for those reasons we were told that the city would prefer to install the signs. That way they can regulate it and control it. The other thing that was listed in the draft policy was kind of a sunset clause of saying 10 years, and then the signs would be taken down and returned. I don't think that's necessary. You could put down, you have an option to review it perhaps after 10 years. That gives you the right to do it one way or another, but not to make it an automatic removal after a 10-year time period. So is there anything else I can address or answer for anybody?
Yeah, I'll allow, this is important, so I will allow questions from the council.
Scott, I have
Yep, just wait. Alderman Rapella.
Thank you very much, Alderman Langdon.
You're welcome.
Scott, I was just wondering, these signs, what do you consider Doty Island? Does it stop at St. Pat's, or does Doty Island also go into Dogtown?
The entire island, Nina and Menasha.
Okay,
And yes, west and east sides.
okay, got it, thank you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott, I noticed that there is a Doty Island sign like that where the tennis courts are at Park Street and Kai Street. Is that how it would look?
Yeah, there's one there, and there's one, I believe, on Kai's and Nicolay that were put up. When we started the process, we had a number of different designs, and we wanted to put them up and see if you could even read them, because that's a big deal, right? You want signs to be effective, you want them to work. So that's what those were put up there for. It was basically as a test, and then also to be able to show where people could drive by and see, okay, that's what we're talking about.
Are they both the same?
I honestly can't remember now. It's been so long. I think they might be different.
Okay, the other
Slightly
one's at
different.
Kai's and Park, and what's the other one at?
Nicolay.
And name it.
In
The name, is the name it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Becky.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Chair. I've had a little experience with this kind of stuff, like the Doty Island sign and that. And I'd like to stick with this city neighborhood street signs at this point. The other one, as far as I'm concerned, I'm gonna make a motion that we deny even having a policy. So, but these are just my issues on this. I think that any organization that wants to do like what DIDC wants to do needs to be a 501c3, and that should be put in there. And I know that it is because, well, I served also on the board. I was one of the founding members, and the mayor is actually one that applied for the 501c3 that we eventually got, correct? So I don't like the $50 administration fee. I think that if we're gonna do this, then.
Wait, we're not there yet.
Okay, so you just want for questions now, or what?
Yes.
Okay, well, are there any other questions? Because I'm sure I'm just gonna be continuing. Becky's got one for us. All right.
All right. Alderman Nichols.
One question. I had heard through the grapevine that the sign that Doty Island Development Council decided they were going to go with was the one at the corner of Name It and Nicolay. And that could be wrong, but I heard that's the one. So if anyone hasn't seen them and wants an opportunity to see them, that's one you can visit along with the ones on Park Street. I think there's one at Elm and Kai's, and there's one on each side of Park Street, and I think one at Cleveland and Kai's as well. So they're just
that one's no longer there.
Okay, so they're in that like 4 block radius right now. That's where they've been on display. Did you was I hearing correctly that was the one?
I can't answer that 100% because,
Okay.
again, it's been almost a year since we put those up. And I could find that out and let you know,
Okay.
for sure.
No, I'm gonna still make my suggestions, and then you can make, well, if I could come back on, Chair. I don't have any more questions.
Well, that questioning's done, then, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because then I want to, seeing that Laura put a lot of time and effort into this, I want her to explain both of these for us, please, before we start making any changes or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think you guys have had the opportunity now to read them, but just to give kind of an overview of the reasoning behind this, we were looking to establish some criteria so that when you get the request, they're not coming just directly to council. I know sometimes it can be difficult, not saying you have to say no every time, but I know it sometimes can put you in a precarious situation. We want to be able to review these, have a thorough review, criteria behind them. Specifically, the honorary street name designation policy, we currently have, I believe, 2 or 3 out there right now. We want to be able to regulate how many are going on our street signs. This is strictly for our street poles, so I just want to be clear that this is only on the top of our street signs that we are looking at this for. Any monument signs would have to go through community development for approval and permitting. You know, we want to make sure that these poles are not exceeding their weight capacities, that they're not blowing over. When these requests are coming in, we just want to make sure that there's a criteria that is followed. Still obviously needs to go through the Board of Public Works and Council for each one that is approved. And we don't want to see too many coming through. That's the reason we went for the honorary street name sign specifically, was 2 per year. Just again to limit how many we are getting. As far as the neighborhood signs, you know, Doty Island came forth with it, and, you know, I think we all agree that it'd be great to allow them to. We just want to make sure that, again, we're not getting too many groups trying to do this. So this simply was just trying to create criteria for staff, to help staff regulate, know how to proceed, and also to help the aldermen as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Okay. Alderman Severnick.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Laura.
Yep. Thank you.
I think before I can move forward, I'm just going to make a motion that we deny having the City of Menasha honorary street name policy at all. I think it creates issues, problems, becomes very political, and I'm not in favor of it all. So at this time, that part of this, I would make a motion that we deny having a City of Menasha honorary street name policy.
And Chair,
Yes, Chair.
Oh, Attorney Captain.
What's,
there is no need for, because that would really be a negative vote. You don't really need it because there isn't,
how about if I made a motion and then we denied it? I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't want to have
Yeah.
it.
If
So I asked the
someone,
mayor earlier, he
Sure.
suggested I make the motion, I did.
Okay.
Which I didn't feel comfortable about either.
Yep.
But I don't want to be on record of being in favor of this either. So I'm going to make the motion then at this time, Chair, then
okay,
to, that we, for the sake of discussion, that we bring up the City of Menasha Honorary Street Designation Policy, and I'll leave it at that, and then we can vote, take individual vote, and Randy's. Okay. What's that?
Okay.
Okay.
We're having a legal discussion.
Okay, so, well, so we had a motion by Alderman Sevenick, second by Alderman Pella. I'm just waiting if Attorney Captain has anything, more, done?
So it's a to approve or deny, I guess.
Well,
The
originally
motion
I
is
said to deny, but the city attorney felt that it was best that I make a motion for it, and then we would deny it by a vote.
correct.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
so basically, we take a vote whether you vote yes if you want it, or no if you don't want it.
Okay.
And you can ask for a roll call.
Okay. No further questions? Okay. Clerk Kramer, could we take a roll call, please?
Alderman Sevenick,
I just confused myself.
Yeah, no,
No. No. Sorry.
Alderman Langdon,
I'll vote no.
Alderman Schmidt. No. Alderman Tom Grady. No. Alderman Ted Grady. Nay. Alderman Rapella. No. Alderman Nichols. Nay. Alderman Taylor. Nay. Motion fails 0-8.
Okay, so we're done with that, so we don't have
Thank
to
you,
spend
Clerk
all night
Kramer.
on that.
Right.
So now I'd like to go back to the, if I could, Chair, the City of Menasha Neighborhood Street Sign Policy.
Yes, you got the floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, I think that in the policy itself, and I'm directing this to staff at this point, and it basically, I don't know if we have to vote on these individually or what, but I think that any organization that wants to have a neighborhood sign, as like what was going on Doty Island, that they have to be a 501c3. Should we make those individual motions or what? That they be added, that be added, the 501c3?
You could just make the motion to approve the neighborhood street signs policy
And then
and
add 'em.
including, and then it's all in one.
All right, you're absolutely correct.
Okay.
At this time, I'll move that we move forward with the City of Menasha Neighborhood Street Sign Policy.
Second?
Have a motion by Alderman Sevenick, second by Alderman Nichols.
And did you want to include those things
I
that you
want
were
to now
talking
make
about?
amendments.
You're going to make amendments, okay.
Yeah.
So at this time, I think, obviously you heard me say that I think that any organization that has these street signs added, that they have to be a 501c3.
Okay.
So that would be my first amendment. Go ahead, Don. So I'm not running the meeting, sorry.
Oh,
Don has a question.
yeah. Mayor Merkus?
Is there a second to the amendment?
Yeah, Becky.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry, yep.
So for quite some time,
Second the amendment, I seconded the motion to be correct.
Right, we're not on the amendment yet, Becky. The motion you,
I just wanted to comment that there's numerous types of nonprofits.
Yeah.
And Doty Island was a 501c4 and a 501c3, so we might want to just say not-for-profit organization rather than a C whatever in case those designations change or.
Yeah, but I think that the C3 is the most recommended and recognizable and most important.
Okay.
And
But
you know that.
Yeah,
because
but
you wrote
neighborhood
it.
groups are not always 501c3s.
Yeah, but we're really looking at these neighborhood groups that want to do this, and they would most likely be 501c3.
Necessarily, but that's okay. That's what you want to do.
So I still need a second for my amendment.
I'll second it.
okay, we have an amendment by Alderman Sevenick to have the, motion as a 501c3 for these neighborhoods. We have a second by Alderman Rapella. Questions
On the amendment.
on the amendment? Alderman Grady. Tom?
Thank you. I was just questioning the approximate cost for this. Nothing?
No, this is the amendment right now.
Oh,
we're only
okay,
talking
all right.
about. That's what he meant. Becky has her light on. So, Randy, is your light on?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks green to me.
Alderman Rapella?
Thank you. I just have a question. I don't know for who, but I'll just put it out there.
It's coming up. This is the first part.
My question is now that we're doing Doty Island, which I understand, I know Jefferson Park kind of has a neighborhood group that we may have signs up for Jefferson Park. Is this going to be something throughout the whole city? Clinton Park's going to have a neighborhood group, Scanlon Park, Shepherd Park, Hidden Pond's going to have signs above their street signs. I guess I'm just
They have to
looking
be
at
a
this.
501c3.
Yeah, we're talking
Okay.
about 501c3s
So they
here.
would have to have all of those, that group at Clinton Park would have to get
All
together
501c3s.
and then organize.
Yes.
So far, Jefferson Park has kind of been organized, or Hart Park has been organized. No,
But they're
not
not a
really.
501c3
They're not-
yet.
okay,
They have
not
to
yet.
apply.
Have to apply.
Okay,
That's what
all
the
right.
policy will
Okay.
be for.
So what ones do we have right now, Mayor? Just the Doty Island? Okay, but could you see in the foreseeable future, you could have 20, how many parks we have? We could have Barker Farms
Yes.
assigned. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. But they got,
But they have to
they
qualify.
have to qualify.
Rapella Park.
Rapella Park. Alderman Becky?
Thank you, Chair. Do we know if our current homeowners associations function as 501c3s? Are they designated?
I plan on taking that out, so.
Director Schrader? Do we know if our established homeowners associations are 501c3s?
That I do not know, but it was rattling around in my head. So we do have, obviously the Lake Park Villas is one of the main established HOAs. So we could look into that.
Okay. It does say here, though, established homeowners associations or not-for-profit organizations. So if I'm reading that correctly, they would be included regardless of their
Right now, as it is written.
501c3. If they don't have a 501c3 status, they could still.
Apply.
As it is
be
written,
a
but I
part of
plan to
it.
take that out.
Right.
So. Oh. Roll call.
Or
Any
to
further?
answer,
Oh, Alderman
to answer Alderman Nichols' question, it'd be
Mayor
very,
Marcus?
very unlikely that a homeowners association could operate as a charitable entity, so I would say probably not.
Right.
Maybe, but most likely not.
Okay, any other, no further discussion? Okay, now,
Can I ask for a clarification?
yes, Attorney Captain.
So is did the amendment change the not-for-profit to 501c3?
Exactly, yes.
It did.
Yes.
So then the current reading would be HOA or 501c3?
As is, if it gets approved right now, but I plan to take that part out.
Okay, I just wanted to
I just
clarify.
gotta go step by step here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Chair?
Alderman Becky?
Thank you. I just want to be really careful here that we're not crafting an ordinance for one,
It's a policy.
or,
Right.
sorry, thank you.
Yep.
That we're crafting a policy that is inclusive and not, just for one organization.
No.
Because that wasn't the intent
No.
here.
Right.
And I want to make sure that we're not headed in that direction.
No. Thank you. So, okay, so we have a motion for the amendment for 5013C. That's the vote. Clerk Kramer, roll call, please.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Rapella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-1.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Alderman Sevenick.
I'd like to offer another amendment. I'd like to take out the homeowners association. I guess I would need a second.
I'll second it.
Take out the homeowners association by Alderman Sevenick, second by Alderman Tom Grady. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call, Clerk Kramer, please.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Rapella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor?
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Scott Francis about the 10-year thing. The problem is, if you put a 10-year thing in there, is anybody going to ever remember that anyways? And I do think it's better as a review, because I think what's going to happen is if they do start becoming damaged, someone will complain. It'll go to the Department of Public Works, and then they'll look at the policy and say, yeah, you need to replace those, something like that. But I do think there should be some type of time limit on it, but I'm just afraid we put, say, 10 years on it, no one's gonna remember anyways.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a bunch of,
Stay in good repair.
Who determines that though?
yeah, right,
Just remove the last sentence, Dan.
yeah. And how is that stated? I don't have it up.
It says the city reserves the right to remove the neighborhood street signs 10 years after initial approval. So that if the city feels that they
I think
are,
the city should have the right to remove them at any time.
that's fine too if you want to do that.
That's my motion,
And he must remain in good repair.
and must be in good repair.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Rapella. Discussion? Seeing no discussion. Clerk Kramer, roll call on that, please.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Rapella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-1.
Thank you. Alderman Sevenick?
Okay, then the last part, I had some issue with the $50 administration fee. I don't believe in, if we're gonna be doing all this work, that, you know, the taxpayer should have to foot the bill in it. I know Doty Island, like I said, they're willing to pay for the signs, but I think they should also pay for the installation of the signs. And those who should do it should be the city of Menasha for the liability reasons. So as far as that in-kind part, is that in here, or was that in the other one?
It's the next sentence.
But I would like to take that part out, and basically if you're gonna have these signs, it's at the organization's cost. That would be my motion. And take out in kind.
Okay, so we have a motion to take out the in-kind.
Where is that, Mayor, by the way?
So if you look at the sentence that says $50 administrative fee,
Yes.
just take the next sentence out. The city of Menasha will sponsor installation of the first 10 neighborhood street signs.
Oh, that's up above.
That's in the other one.
Oh, yeah.
You go to the second one, Stan.
Yeah, no. That,
Page 3.
It is, go to the one that says City of Menasha Neighborhood Street Sign Policy. Is that where you're at?
I have City of Neighborhood Street Sign Policy.
Okay, go under terms. It's the third
Terms.
paragraph.
Third paragraph.
Starts out with a $50 administrative fee.
I have that under process, so, oh yeah, a $50 administration fee
Yep.
is required upon receipt of the
Okay,
application.
so then the next sentence talks
The
about
city of Menasha
installation.
will sponsor installation of and we're not going with a number either, so the installation,
No, just get rid of that sentence.
rid
It
of that
says,
sentence.
all signs,
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we remove the $50 administration fee along with the sentence that says the city of Menasha will sponsor installation of the neighborhood street signs.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Alderman Rapella. Any discussion? No discussion. Clerk call Kramer, roll call, please.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Repella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor? Motion carries 8-0.
And Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Alderman Sevenick?
as far as the numbers, I don't have a problem with the numbers, because what you might say, I don't think we should require them that they have to have X amount of signs. I think they're gonna have to decide how many they want over time, because there will be an expense. So if they wanted to do, say, 20 of them at first and then 20 next year or something like that, I'm okay with that. Because, you know, Doty Island is bigger than you realize. Randy referenced the west side, you know, you have the whole west side, and there's a lot of streets, and you start adding them up with, and they come. So I would just suggest, and I'm sure Doty Island would agree, that maybe the main drags right now, like Anup Street and Kai Street and those kind of, and Nicollet Boulevard or something like that, as a start, and then take it from there. We don't have to have a number, so.
Just as minimum of 4. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Well, you have to have a minimum of 4 then. I think you have that already. So,
Okay.
we don't need to even add anything to that then. So that's all I have, unless someone else has something else.
No.
Then we can vote for as amended.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Seeing no one's, oh, yep, I got one here. Alderman Becky?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to thank my colleagues here for removing this from the table and opening it for discussion this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Very welcome. This went awfully well. Alderman Sevenick, your motions and everything went well on this. Nice job, Alderman. Nice job.
I just want, if I could, Chair.
Yeah.
Just want to recognize Scott Francis from the Doty Island Development Council. Very professional. He called me about some of these issues. We didn't see eye to eye on everything, but we worked out a good compromise, I think, and I think DIDC will be happy with being able to do this. I lived a very short time in the city of Madison, and I lived in the Tenney neighborhood group, and I was proud of that. So Doty Island folks are going to be proud of their neighborhoods, and I recognize that these neighborhood groups are important to the community, and I do see this expanding, you know, to probably the next neighborhood group would be the Jefferson Park neighborhood, because they're the ones who are right now very involved. So I don't know about any of the others, but this is a good starting point, and we can only learn from this.
Very good. Alderman Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank Director of Public Works, Laura, for putting this together and bringing it forward. I know you were probably a little shocked last meeting, but we were too when it showed up here, and sometimes it takes a little going through it before we take action on it. But thanks for your hard work.
Nice job, everyone, on this half hour only on it, Alderman Sevenick. Very well done, guys. Very well done. So we need the motion. We need the vote for the overall. Clerk Kramer, roll call, please.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Repella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor? Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Number 2, Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to recommend to award contract unit number 2022-02, street reconstruction, Airport Road, option 1, northeast asphalt, $687,000, $105.84. Option 2, Vinton construction, $855, or $855, $638.45.
Thank you. Have a second?
We need one or the other.
Oh, okay. Corey?
Right, but I would like Director Corey to explain Right, I got that.
Now, they're both on the table, so tell us which one you want.
So
Oh, true.
this is, Airport Road is the project that we are doing joint with Fox Crossings. The original intent with this project was to do it in asphalt, do a 5-inch asphalt, pavement, full reconstruct. Right before we put it out to bid, we had an internal discussion and we just wanted, to see kind of where numbers would come in if we bid it in concrete. So the option 2 that you see is a concrete option. The total cost difference is roughly $165,000, I think is what it is. Something in that range. Our portion of that additional cost is roughly $55,000 because we are 35%. I have not gotten to the point of doing a life cycle analysis on this. It's kind of an involved process, so I do not have that information to share with you, but I wanted to at least get this out there and see if you preferred one option over the other. As noted in the memo, Fox Crossings would support the concrete option in this. So basically what this is you have 2 options to choose from with this. Both of these are going to be within budget.
Under budget, yep.
Of our overall street construction budget for the year.
Yep, yep.
Randy's got a question, and Chad?
Alderman Rapella?
Thank you, Alderman Langdon. Corey, quick question, is that, repair or redo a reconstruction of Airport Road going to go all the way from Racine to Appleton Road, or is it gonna kind of stop kind of by Kits and File where it's actually a pretty good road?
It would be Racine to Mayor Street.
Okay, got it. That's all I want. Thank you.
Mayor.
Oh, I thought Fatima, but that's like 60 feet or something, so. Okay. So that's more.
Alderman Ted Grady?
Thank you, Chair.
Fatima? Oh.
Corey, question. Of the 2 options, give me your best guess of life expectancy of option 1 and option 2.
So that's everything that goes into the life cycle cost analysis. I'm learning. This is the first one that I've done, and there's lots more to it than what I originally thought there would be to it. Concrete pavement is typically looked at to be like a 50-year life expectancy. There would be some repairs over time needed on that. Asphalt, typically you're looking at 25 to 30, and then you would do like a mill and overlay similar to what we did with 9th Street a handful of years ago, or Southfield Drive a couple of years ago. We would go in and we would mill out 2 inches and replace that 2 inches, give a new wear surface, a new look, things of that nature. You would hope that then that mill and overlay gets you another 20 years time frame.
But that might cost another $100,000 too, so.
In today's dollars, to mill and overlay that, you're looking at roughly around $120,000 to mill and overlay it today.
Okay.
So.
No, there's a good answer. I mean, you can see the difference there, so.
Correct.
The cement seems like a better option that way. Okay. Thank you, Corey.
Alderman Sevenick?
I agree with Alderman Grady. I think we need to go with the concrete option, and we should be looking at that more often throughout the city. And remember, you guys did such a great job of removing the truck traffic off of 9th Street, and they're using Airport Road, so you want it to be concrete. So, I think if we did the blacktop, the life would be less than what's projected, so concrete would be the best option.
Plus all the sports over there during the fall.
Yep.
All the drive-in. Alderman Taylor?
The 300 block abroad was done in blacktop. The 400 block was done in concrete 2 years ago. 700 some thousand dollars just from the federal government gave us. Last year they had to come back, crack seal already on the blacktop, and after this winter now, there's some major cracks in that, and it's 2 years old. Yeah. So I'll make the motion to approve. It sounds like a consensus here, to approve option 2, vent construction, in the amount of $855,000, $638.45.
I have a motion by Alderman Taylor for option number 2 would be the cement, and a second by Alderman Tom Grady. Any further discussion? Director Corey?
I have not completed the life cycle cost analysis. Is that something that you would like me to continue forward with, or do you feel comfortable with your decision with concrete today?
We're good.
Sounds good to me.
We're good. We're good. Director, I'm sorry, Alderman Becky.
Thank you, Chair. While the total is $855,000 and some change, the city's portion of that will be substantially less, correct?
Correct. If, so you have the memo, and then there's 2 pages of itemized bid tabs, and then there's a spreadsheet. It's highlighted yellow budget. You have the asphalt bid, and you have the bid concrete. Below that, I have a reference. The agreement with the Village of Fox Crossings allows for engineering fee of 10%. The amount of engineering is projected to be $45,000, asphalt 56 on the concrete. That's what we would gain for our engineering oversight. And I believe the cost difference in the project, I think it comes out to be like $55,000 or $65,000 for our portion. So you take away that engineering fee, for the difference, you're talking like $10,000-ish. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but by doing the concrete option, we make more money, I guess, through our engineering
And the
fee.
Village of Fox Crossing is footing most of the bill for this
Correct.
road repair.
Correct.
Thank you.
Because it's mostly in their area.
Alderman Taylor?
Thanks, Mark. This is about roads, and I just want to say in our subdivisions, I really think it's time to go to concrete. After 25 years, I see some of those out there that are in really rough shape, and City of Appleton does concrete. The people want concrete with their new homes, and then it's a 50-year road out there, and nobody has to touch it. So I think in the future, we should really start looking at this. Thank you.
No further discussion. Clerk Kramer, roll call, please.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Rapella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor? Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Number 3. Alderman Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to recommend to award contract unit number 2022-03, street construction and rehabilitation, various locations, Northeast Asphalt, Inc., in the amount of $584,731.50.
Second? Second by Alderman Ann Schmidt. Director Corey, anything on that?
For this project, it's just our standard asphalt paving contract that we typically do every year with this one.
Thank you. Clerk Kramer, roll call, please.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Rapella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor? Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Number 4, Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion for an agreement of professional services, McMahon and Associates, Inc., urban non-point source and stormwater planning unit grant in the amount of $172,950.
Thank you. Director Laura, anything on that? Second. Oh, sorry, second by Alderman Ted Grady. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So just to kind of give a brief overview of this, we had applied last year for the Urban Non-Point Source Planning and Stormwater Grant. We were approved that. The maximum amount was $85,000. So this total $172,950, we are not going to be, we have to fund it up front, but we will be reimbursed for $85,000 of that. And we did budget for this all, there was a comment in public comments, I just wanted to clarify, this was completely and fully budgeted for within the 2022 budget under the account number that I have written out in the memo. We do have some other items in that account specifically, it was over 200,000, but this 172 was budgeted in that portion. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Alderman Savinick?
I do have one, and she brought up that in the agreement that their portion does not say not to exceed.
Yep.
So, I don't know, do we need to add that? I guess that would be a question for maybe the city attorney or.
I would imagine and I guess this would be a Pam thing, but if the motion includes it, we would have to come back to you if we do exceed.
Yeah.
But I can, if it would make everybody more comfortable, I can certainly go back to the consultant and ask them to revise that.
Alrighty, I'm good with that. I don't need to add anything further. Thank you.
Alderman Taylor?
Oh, I was going to say I can add that if you want in the motion, but that's fine. Okay, good.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing no one, Clerk Kramer, roll call, please.
Alderman Savinick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt? Aye. Alderman Tom Grady? Aye. Alderman Ted Grady? Aye. Alderman Rapella? Aye. Alderman Nichols? Aye. Alderman Taylor?
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Very good Board of Public Works meeting tonight. Thank you, everyone. Motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, as my cousins in Chicago would say, tomorrow, vote early and vote often. Nope. Wink, wink.
Thank you. Have a second?
Motion to